3 weeks before our restaurant's Bamuth anniversary celebration, I walked into my own office and heard my son-in-law planning to steal everything I had built. If I had not forgotten my reading glasses on my desk that Tuesday afternoon, if I had not turned back after already starting my car, I would have driven away and never known. But something, fate maybe, or just a Samui-year-old woman's forgetfulness, brought me back through that side entrance at Bon Mui Lum in the afternoon. An hour after David thought I had left for the day. I am Linda Chen, Samui Lum years old, a widow, a mother, a businesswoman who spent Bamui years building Lotus Garden from a small takeout counter into the most successful Chinese restaurant in Portland. My husband James and I started with nothing, just his grandmother's recipes and my head for numbers. We raised our daughter Rachel while working 10-hour weeks. When James died 3 years ago, I thought the hardest part of my life was behind me. I was wrong. Before I go further, let me ask you something. Wherever you are right now, whatever time it is where you are watching this, are you in your car, maybe sitting at your kitchen table, or lying in bed before sleep? Leave a comment and tell me. And if this story resonates with something you have experienced, please hit that like button and subscribe, because what I am about to share might save someone else from making the mistakes I almost made. Let me tell you what happened that November afternoon. I had just pulled out of the parking lot when I realized my glasses were still on my desk. I wear them for reading, and I had an appointment with my accountant the next morning. I needed them. So, I turned the car around, pulled back into my usual spot behind the building, and came in through the delivery entrance. It is always quieter than the main restaurant doors, and that quietness, that silence, it changed everything. I slipped through the kitchen, past the walk-in cooler, and headed toward the small hallway that led to my office. The kitchen staff had gone home. The dinner shift would not start for another hour. Everything was quiet, except for voices coming from behind my office door. My door, which should have been locked, because I always lock it when I leave. But it was cracked open, and David's voice carried through clear as glass. His words hit me like ice water. Once the evaluation goes through and the family meeting happens, the lawyer says we can get conservatorship within 2 weeks. Mom Samui-Lum, she has been showing signs, forgetting things, getting confused with the books. Dr. Patterson already agreed the documentation supports early onset dementia. Early onset dementia. My hands found the wall. My heart started hammering against my ribs, so hard I thought I might collapse right there in that hallway. Rachel's voice came next, and it was smaller, uncertain. David, I do not know. Mom seems fine to me. She runs this place better than we ever could. Babe, he said, and his voice was patient, like he was explaining something to a child. That is the thing about dementia. They seem fine until they are not. We are protecting her. We are protecting the business. Our business now. Once we have control, we can modernize, franchise, really grow this thing. Your mom is stuck in the past. She does not understand what this place could become. Our business. The restaurant James and I had built from nothing. The place where we had worked ourselves to exhaustion, where we had raised our daughter in the back office doing her homework while we prepped vegetables at midnight. David wanted to take it from me by making everyone believe I was losing my mind. I stood there frozen, one hand still reaching toward my office door, listening to my son-in-law plan my destruction, while my daughter, my Rachel, said nothing to stop him. They were moving around my office. I could hear papers rustling, drawers opening. "What are you looking for?" Rachel asked. "Evidence," David said. "Bills she has paid twice, orders she has messed up, anything that shows declining capacity. The more documentation we have, the easier this will be." I backed away slowly, one step at a time, until I reached the kitchen door. Then I slipped out the way I came in and sat in my car in that parking lot with my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles went white. For a long time, maybe about minutes, I could not think straight. My mind kept going to memories I did not want to examine too closely. Rachel's wedding 5 years ago, me writing the check for the venue when David's family could not afford their share. David starting at the restaurant 3 years ago, right after James died, saying he wanted to help, wanted to take some burden off me. Me giving him more and more responsibility, trusting him with vendors, with staff management, with the books when I was too grief-stricken to focus. Every memory felt different now, poisoned by what I had just heard. Had he been planning this from the beginning? Had Rachel known? Or had he slowly convinced her over time that her mother was failing, that they needed to step in, that it was for my own good? Eventually, something inside me shifted. Not the breaking kind of shift, where everything falls apart. The opposite. Something locked into place, hard and cold and absolutely clear. They thought they could manipulate me. They thought I was just a grieving widow, confused and vulnerable. They had no idea what I was capable of when I stopped trusting and started fighting back. That evening, I did not go home. I drove to a coffee shop 3 miles away and sat with a notebook and a pen, doing what I had done my entire adult life. I made lists. Assets, documentation, timeline, legal options. The numbers were brutal, but numbers do not lie, and I had always been good with numbers. Lotus Garden was valued at approximately $1 million. I owned 1%. The building, the land, the equipment, the name, everything. James and I had paid off the mortgage 2 years before he died. There were no partners, no investors, no one with any claim except me. David had been managing daily operations for 3 years, but he had no ownership stake, no legal right to anything. He was an employee, nothing more. But if they succeeded in getting me declared incompetent, if a judge granted them conservatorship, all of that would change. They would control the business, control my bank accounts, control my life. I would be shoved into some memory care facility while they sold everything James and I had built, or worse, turned it into something unrecognizable. I opened my phone and started searching for attorneys, not the family lawyer who had helped with James's estate. Someone new, someone who specialized in elder law and asset protection, someone who would understand exactly what was happening and know how to fight it. I found Linda Torres at 10 p.m. that night, reading reviews of elder law attorneys in Portland. 5 stars, dozens of testimonials from clients who had faced similar situations. Adult children trying to take control, family members claiming incompetence, financial abuse disguised as concern. I sent her an email from the coffee shop, typing with shaking hands. I need help. My son-in-law is planning to have me declared incompetent so he can take my business. I heard him discussing it with my daughter. Can you see me as soon as possible? She responded muy minutes later. Yes. Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Bring any financial documents you have and be ready to move quickly. I did not sleep that night. I sat at my kitchen table in the small house I had bought after selling the family home, the one with too many memories of James. I went through files, bank statements, tax returns, business records, everything that proved I was running Lotus Garden successfully, that I was competent, that I was being targeted, not protected. The numbers told their own story. In the 3 years since David had joined the business, profits had actually declined by more high percent. Food costs were up, customer complaints had increased, 3 longtime employees had quit. I had attributed it to the transition after James died, to the learning curve, to the difficulty of the restaurant business. But now I saw it differently. David was not protecting the business. He was running it into the ground while positioning himself to take control. I found something else too. A folder I had not looked at in months, containing the original partnership agreement James and I had signed years ago when we started Lotus Garden. Buried in the legal language was a clause we had insisted on. In the event of incapacity or death, the surviving partner has the right to sell or transfer the business without consent from heirs if such action is deemed necessary for preservation of assets. James had insisted on that clause because he had seen too many family businesses destroyed by fighting children. We had put it in place to protect each other and to protect what we built. Now it was going to protect me from my own daughter and her husband. The meeting with Linda Torres started at 10 a.m. sharp. Her office was in a renovated brick building downtown, small but professional, with certificates on the wall and a shelf full of legal books. She was maybe Namui, with sharp, dark eyes and an air of competence that made me feel less alone. "Mrs. Chen," she said, after I told her everything. "What your son-in-law is planning is a form of conservatorship abuse. It happens more often than people realize, especially with business owners. The pattern is always the same. Isolate the victim, undermine their confidence, create documentation of declining capacity, then file for emergency conservatorship before anyone realizes what is happening. Can they really do that? I asked. Can they take everything just by convincing a judge I am confused? If they move fast enough and have the right documentation. Yes, Linda said. Emergency conservatorships can be granted quickly, especially if there is medical evidence. You said David mentioned a doctor, Patterson? I nod. I do not know who that is. I have never seen any Dr. Patterson. Then we need to establish your competence before they file anything. We need a full cognitive evaluation from a neurologist, a complete financial audit showing you are managing the business successfully, and we need to document everything you overheard. Do you have any recordings? No, I said, feeling my stomach drop. I just heard them talking. It is my word against theirs. That makes it harder, but not impossible, Linda said. The best defense is a strong offense. We establish your competence, we secure your assets, and we make sure that even if they file a petition, it gets dismissed immediately. How do I secure my assets? The business? Linda leaned forward. Mrs. Chen, have you considered selling? The question hung in the air like smoke. Selling Lotus Garden. The restaurant James and I had poured our lives into. The place where Rachel had grown up, where we had celebrated every milestone, every success, every moment that mattered. But David's voice echoed in my head. Our business now. Your mom is stuck in the past. If I sell it, I said slowly, they cannot take it. Exactly, Linda said. And you have every legal right to sell your own business. The money from the sale is much easier to protect than physical property. We can set up trusts, accounts they cannot access, legal structures that ensure your financial security regardless of what they try to do. How long would that take? With the right buyer, 2 to 3 weeks. Maybe less if we find someone motivated and willing to pay cash. 3 weeks. That was exactly how long until the Baumwith anniversary celebration. The party David and Rachel had been planning for months. The event where they probably intended to announce some new direction for the restaurant, some fresh vision that would really be the first step in their takeover. I looked at Linda Torres and made my decision. Let us do it. All of it. The evaluation, the sale, everything. I want this done before the anniversary party. She nodded, already pulling out her phone. I will make some calls. Be ready. This is going to move fast. The next Bonwitam hours were a blur of meetings and appointments. Dr. Elizabeth Kim, a neurologist Linda worked with regularly, evaluated me on Thursday morning. She ran me through every test imaginable. Memory recall, problem solving, spatial reasoning, verbal fluency. I remembered word lists, drew clocks showing specific times, counted backward by sevens, named obscure objects in photographs. Every test came back normal. Better than normal for my age, doctor, Kim said with a smile. She handed me a high-page report that afternoon. Mrs. Chen, this clearly shows you have no cognitive impairment whatsoever. Your memory, reasoning, and executive function are all within the superior range for your age group. Anyone claiming you are incompetent would have a very difficult time supporting that claim in court. I took the report home and read it 3 times that night. Superior cognitive function. No evidence of dementia or decline. Fully capable of managing complex financial and business decisions. The words felt like armor. Protection against every lie David had planned to tell. The business broker Linda connected me with was a man named Tom Riley, late Bonmuis, with high years of experience selling restaurants in Portland. He came to Lotus Garden on Friday morning, when David was out meeting with suppliers and Rachel was at her part-time job. I told him I needed a quick sale, cash buyer preferred, closing within 3 weeks. Tom walked through the kitchen, examined the equipment, reviewed the books, talked to me about the customer base, the location, the reputation. Then, he sat across from me in my office and gave me his assessment. Linda, your restaurant is a gem. Prime location, loyal customer base, excellent reputation. Based on comparable sales and your financials, I would estimate market value at motfaitamui to high million. For a quick sale with a cash buyer, we could list at motfai salmuilam and expect offers within a week. Motfai salmuilam million. Less than market value, but life-changing money. Money that would secure my future, give me options, Protect me from ever being vulnerable again. Do it, I said. Tom nodded. I already have 2 potential buyers in mind. Both are local restaurant groups looking to expand. Both have the capital for an all-cash deal. Let me make some calls. The listing went live that afternoon. Quietly, not on public sites, but through Tom's network of investors and restaurant operators. By Monday morning, I had 2 offers, one for 1.55 million, one for 1.62 million, both all cash, both willing to close within 2 weeks. I took the higher offer. Closing date: 3 days before the anniversary party, but I could not just disappear. I still had to come to work every day, still had to interact with David and Rachel, still had to pretend everything was normal while I systematically dismantled their entire plan. It was the hardest acting I had ever done. David started making more comments about my memory. Linda, you already told me that story yesterday. Or, you forgot we had that meeting scheduled, remember? Each time, I nodded and apologized and let him believe he was succeeding. Each time, I wrote down exactly what he said, the date, the time, the witnesses present. Documentation. Evidence. Rachel seemed more uncomfortable as the days went on. A few times she started to say something, then stopped. Once she asked, "Mom, are you feeling okay? You seem stressed." "I am fine, sweetheart," I said, "just busy with the anniversary party planning." She nodded, but would not meet my eyes. I wondered how much she knew, how much she had agreed to, how much David had manipulated her the same way he was trying to manipulate me. It did not matter anymore. She had made her choice when she stood in my office and said nothing while her husband planned my destruction. The cognitive evaluation, the business sale documents, the recordings I had secretly started making of David's comments about my alleged decline. Everything went into a folder. Linda was preparing. Insurance, she called it. Evidence that would destroy any conservatorship petition before it ever reached a hearing. 9 days before the anniversary party, I signed the sale documents in Tom's office. The buyer, a restaurant group called Pacific Dining, wired $1.5 million into my account that afternoon. The money sat there, real and solid, proof that Lotus Garden no longer belonged to me. The business David and Rachel wanted to take was gone, sold legally and completely, and there was nothing they could do to reverse it. But they did not know yet. I still had to tell them. I still had to face what was coming. I decided to wait until the anniversary party. Let them think everything was going according to their plan. Let them believe they were just days away from taking control. Let them invite all the staff, all the regular customers, all the people who had supported Lotus Garden for years, and then, in front of everyone, I would tell them the truth. The party was on a Saturday evening. We had rented the event space next door to the restaurant, decorated with red and gold lanterns, set up round tables for Mochumnumwe people, staff, customers, suppliers, friends. Even the mayor was coming. Rachel had worked so hard on the details, the menu, the music, the slideshow of photos from the past years. She had asked me to prepare a speech, something about the history of the restaurant and its future. I had written a speech, just not the one she expected. That evening, I dressed carefully. A red silk dress, James's jade bracelet on my wrist, my best heels. I looked at myself in the mirror and thought about the woman I had been 3 weeks ago, shocked and terrified in the parking lot, listening to her world fall apart. That woman felt like a stranger now. I arrived at the party at 6 p.m. The room was already filling up. Staff members I had worked with for decades, customers who had been coming since we first opened, Rachel's friends, David's family, everyone smiling, celebrating, toasting to years of success. David found me immediately, playing the dutiful son-in-law. "Linda, you look beautiful. This is such a special night. I am so proud to be part of this family, part of this legacy." I smiled at him. "Thank you, David. It certainly is a special night." Rachel hugged me, and for a moment I felt my resolve waver. She was my daughter, my only child. The little girl I had raised, who had helped roll dumplings in the kitchen when she was 8 years old. But then I remembered her voice in my office. "Mom seems fine to me," followed by silence when David dismissed her concerns. "At bay. Bamui." Rachel tapped a glass to get everyone's attention. The room quieted. She gave a short speech about family, about legacy, about how proud she was to be part of Lotus Garden's story. Then she introduced me, and now, my mom, Linda Chen, who built this incredible place with my dad, wants to say a few words. I stood up and walked to the microphone. Chumnumly faces looked back at me. Friendly faces, expectant faces, people who knew me, who trusted me. I took a breath and began. Thank you all for being here tonight. 30 years ago, my husband James and I opened Lotus Garden with nothing but his grandmother's recipes and a dream. We worked 7 days a week. We sacrificed time with our daughter. We poured everything we had into making this restaurant a place where people felt welcome, where the food was authentic, where the community could gather. James did not live to see this anniversary, but I know he would be so proud of what we built together. I paused. Rachel was smiling. David looked relaxed, confident. Around the room, people were nodding, some dabbing at their eyes. I continued. Tonight, I want to talk about the future. Because running a business for Bamu years teaches you some hard lessons. It teaches you about trust. It teaches you about family. And it teaches you about knowing when it is time to make difficult decisions. Rachel's smile faltered slightly. David's expression sharpened. 3 weeks ago, I overheard a conversation in my office. A conversation where my son-in-law David discussed plans to have me declared incompetent so he could take control of this business. He talked about getting a doctor to document my alleged dementia, about holding a family meeting to convince everyone I was declining, about filing for conservatorship so that he and my daughter could, in his words, really grow this thing. The room went completely silent. Rachel's face went white. David stood up, his chair scraping loudly. I kept talking, my voice steady and clear. David believed I was forgetting things, getting confused, declining mentally. So I did what any good businesswoman would do. I got a full cognitive evaluation from Dr. Elizabeth Kim, a neurologist. The report, which I have copies of for anyone who wants to see it, shows that I have superior cognitive function for my age. No dementia, no decline, no confusion. I am completely capable of running this business and making my own decisions. David started to speak. Linda, this is not I. Raised my hand to stop him. I am not finished. Because here is what else I learned in Bamu years of running a business. Sometimes, the people you trust most are the ones who will hurt you worst. Sometimes, family is not about blood. It is about respect. And when you realize that the people closest to you see you as nothing more than an obstacle to what they want, the kindest thing you can do for yourself is walk away. I looked directly at David, then at Rachel. So 3 days ago, I sold Lotus Garden. The business you wanted to take from me no longer exists. Pacific Dining Group now owns this restaurant, this building, everything. The sale is final. The money is secure in accounts you cannot access, and your plan to have me declared incompetent and steal my life's work? That plan died the moment I signed those papers. The room erupted, people talking, shouting, David yelling something about this being illegal, Rachel crying, staff members looking confused and shocked. I stood at that microphone and felt nothing but calm. To everyone here tonight who has supported this restaurant for Bamu years, I said, raising my voice over the noise. Thank you. Thank you for being part of our story. Pacific Dining Group has assured me they will keep the staff, maintain the quality, honor what James and I built. You will still have your Lotus Garden. It will just be under new ownership. I set down the microphone and walked toward the exit. Rachel tried to stop me, her hand on my arm. Mom, please, we need to talk. This is all a misunderstanding. I looked at her. Really looked at her. No misunderstanding, Rachel. I heard every word. You stood in my office and listened to your husband plan to destroy me, and you said nothing to stop him. You made your choice. But Mom, David did not mean. He was just, he loves you, we love you. Love does not look like this, I said quietly. Love does not plan interventions and conservatorships. Love does not call someone incompetent behind their back while smiling to their face. You wanted this business? You thought I was stuck in the past? Well, now neither of us has it. Live with that. I walked out of that event space into the November rain and got into my car. My phone started ringing immediately. David, Rachel, even some staff members. I silenced it all. Linda Torres called the next morning. Mrs. Chen, I assume from the messages I have been receiving that your family now knows about the sale. They know, I said. Have they attempted to file any legal challenges? Not yet, but I imagine they will try. They can try, Linda said, and I could hear the satisfaction in her voice. But we have every document showing you were fully competent when you made the sale. We have the cognitive evaluation, the business records, the recordings of David's comments. Any judge who sees our file will dismiss their claims immediately. She was right. David tried to file for emergency conservatorship 2 days later, claiming I had been manipulated into selling the business. The judge reviewed Linda's file, including Dr. Kim's evaluation and the recordings I had made, and dismissed the petition within Heimweibon hours. The judge also sanctioned David for filing a frivolous claim, ordering him to pay my legal fees. Rachel sent me dozens of text messages over the next 2 weeks, apologies that were not really apologies, explanations that were really excuses. Mom, please. David made a mistake. We were worried about you. You cannot just cut us out of your life. We are family. The kids need their grandmother. She had 2 children, my grandchildren, 6 and 9 years old. I loved them, but I would not let her use them as weapons to manipulate me back into being her victim. I responded once. The last message I sent her. Rachel, when you stood in my office and let David plan my destruction, you made a choice. When you said nothing while he discussed how to declare me incompetent, you chose him over me. I will always be your mother, but I will never again be someone you can use. Do not contact me unless you are ready to take full responsibility for what you did. She did not respond. Neither did David. 3 months later, I am sitting in a small apartment in the Pearl District, Portland's downtown neighborhood. I sold my house too, the one with too many memories, and bought this bright modern space with views of the city. I have more money than I need, invested carefully in accounts David and Rachel can never touch. I volunteer twice a week at a nonprofit that helps immigrant families start small businesses. I teach classes on bookkeeping and financial planning. I share what I learned over years of running Lotus Garden, helping other people build their dreams the way James and I built ours. I joined a book club. I take art classes. I have coffee with new friends who know nothing about restaurants or family betrayal, who see me as just Linda, a woman with stories to tell and time to listen. Sometimes I drive past Lotus Garden and see people going in and out, see the sign still glowing in the window. Pacific Dining kept their promise. The food is still good. The staff is still there. The legacy James and I built continues, just without me. And I am okay with that. Better than okay. Because here is what I learned. When people show you who they are, believe them. When love comes with conditions and manipulation, it is not love. And when you realize that the cost of keeping someone in your life is your own dignity, your own autonomy, your own peace, the answer is always to walk away. I am 31 years old. I spent years building something beautiful with my husband. I spent 3 years being slowly undermined by my son-in-law. And I spent 3 weeks taking my life back. If you are watching this, and you see yourself in my story, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not powerless. You are not too old. You are not confused. Those are lies people tell to keep you trapped. You have rights. You have options. You have strength you have not needed to use yet. Do not wait for things to get better on their own. Protect yourself. Document everything. Get legal help. Move faster than the people trying to hurt you. And if that means walking away from family, from businesses, from lives you spent decades building, do it. Your freedom is worth more than any legacy. To everyone watching, leave a comment and tell me, what would you have done? Would you have sold the business? Would you have confronted them differently? Would you have tried to reconcile? I want to know your thoughts. And please, like and subscribe if this story touched something in you. Share it with someone who might need to hear it. Because these conversations matter. Your voice matters. My name is Linda Chen. 3 weeks before my restaurant's anniversary, I overheard my son-in-law planning to steal my life. He thought I was weak. He thought I was confused. He thought I would be easy to control. He was wrong.